Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on thunderstorms that could be affecting us over the course of this afternoon into the evening and potentially even overnight as well. Big thunderstorms popping off through central and western areas at the moment and transitioning further eastwards where they could be quite widespread and quite severe in places, and we do have a yellow Met Office warning. So we'll run through the latest on the live radar, seeing where position of rain bands are and thunderstorms at the moment. We'll look at the weather warnings, and then we'll go through some various charts looking at the Cape levels and the raw precipitation charts. Again, putting the positioning of those big thunderstorms potentially through the London area, southeast into East Anglia, East Midlands, maybe central southern England as well. That sort of eastern corridor where we're expecting to see some big activity through this evening. We'll also have a look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles just to keep an update on what is going on in the longer term, as it does continue to look like we will stay relatively unsettled through the first half of May. Doesn't look like we're going to see much in the way of warmer and drier weather. There could be the odd day or so here or there, but most days will have the risk of showers, and there is the potential for a bit of a cut-off low developing at some point in the next sort of 7 to 10 days, which would just bring a very showery and maybe a continuation of this sort of thundery outlook as we do progress through the month. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So we're going to start on the live radar first, but of course we'll run through the various thunderstorm charts, and it has looked like that over the course of overnight since we recorded the video yesterday afternoon, the risk of thunderstorms has increased and is sort of more solidified where it's going to take place. Now yesterday and the days preceding that, we did think it was going to be quite a widespread risk, and there is still quite a widespread risk, but we're really pinpointing eastern areas now for the severe thunderstorm risk, where storms could become multi-celled, something we didn't think of a couple of days ago, but as I said, that risk has increased, and that's why we've got a warning for from the Met Office, a yellow warning, as we do have significant Cape and a lot of instability around that is going to trigger those thunderstorms. So as you start on the live radar, you can see this big rain band that spread through overnight, introducing lower pressure, and that did give heavy rain for many areas. But now we've got some warmer air, some brighter conditions, a bit of sunshine, going to cause convection through this afternoon. Now, I'm calling this around midday. We are about an hour into the thunderstorm warning now, but nothing really popping off as of yet. As we'll see in a minute, some of the precipitation charts do think there should be some thunderstorms popping off at the moment. We're not seeing it as of yet in this big zone that we're expecting to see potentially some quite severe storms. So perhaps slightly delayed, but that could be down to the fact that some areas have got a bit more cloud at the moment, and it could just be generally delayed by an hour or two. But further westwards, you can see the evidence of the instability in higher levels of Cape, as we are starting to see heavy thundery showers popping off in the last of half an hour or so through parts of the West Midlands, northwest England, and quite a few parts of Wales. There are a few showers popping off in central southern England, but nothing really has taken off so far. We also have some heavy thundery rain down into the southwest. As I said, a widespread thunderstorm risk, but it's that eastern portion here that hasn't got the big storms yet. That's where we think they will be over the course of this afternoon and the evening. Elsewhere, northern areas still got a lot of showers around, and they could, as said, be thundery as well, but not the highest risk regions. Now, to put on the temperatures just before midday, you can see it's fairly warm, especially through northeastern areas. Again, those are the areas seeing more of the sunshine. Further southwards, a bit more cloud, and the showers starting to pop off, holding those temperatures down. So it's going to be very regional, these temperatures today, depending on shower amounts, thunderstorm amounts, and generally cloud amounts. So it will be very, very regional and very variable in the space of, only a few tens of miles, really, between potentially 18, 19 degrees and 13, 14 degrees. Now, if you do get into the meat of this video, having a look at the thunderstorm risk now, you can see the yellow thunderstorm warning issued. It does stretch all the way down to the southwest, but as I said, I think the main risk is in this eastern portion. It starts at 11 a.m. today and spread to 10 p.m. I'm assuming the 11 a.m. start was for the storms further southwards and westwards, because all the precipitation charts don't really have the main activity starting to around midday, 1 p.m. But heavy showers and thunderstorms likely to cause some disruption to travel. Heavy showers and thunderstorms will develop through Tuesday, some becoming slow moving across more southern and eastern parts of England during the afternoon and evening. A few places could see 20 millimetres of rain within an hour and possibly 30 to 40 millimetres in 2 to 3 hours, along with lightning and hail. High likelihood lower end of the impact matrix. Again, we are quite certain that we are going to see thunderstorms popping off, but it's that impact zone that's really going to be difficult to forecast. If we do see continuation of cloud amounts, not too much sunshine getting through, it may prohibit those storms getting really big, but they still will be there with quite a lot of heavy rain and things like that. So we will just have to see how the afternoon does develop, but as we'll see in the models in a minute, they are showing something quite substantial in places. So you start by going into the WRF, so we'll go over to Meteo Seal. They've got some more charts than the Weather Outlook does. So look at the WRF for Cape charts and precipitation charts. We'll look at the Rome run, and then we'll finish on the UKV, the charts we normally have a look at on a daily basis. So you can see through this afternoon, the Cape really picks up around 11 a.m. to midday. That's where I am right now recording this. And you can see mainly in the west initially, but by sort of 2, 3, 4 p.m. it transitions further eastwards. Some real high Cape amounts through central and eastern England, and that's where we can see the big thunderstorms. It eventually does degrade away around 8, 9 p.m, but that could still hold those thunderstorms into the evening hours. And of course, once Cape disintegrates, it doesn't necessarily mean thunderstorms completely disintegrate. It means that they're less likely to form and less likely to hold on to their energy. But we will continue to see showers through the evening before it degrades away into tomorrow, where there could be another shower risk. But as you can see, by 2 p.m, nowhere near as high amounts of Cape there. If you go over to the raw precipitation charts now, you can see around midday, we're not expecting anything too big from the WRF here, a few showers in the southwest, but already seeing some activity in reality in the West Midlands, because it really starts to pop off around 3 or 4 p.m, and it becomes really quite severe in places around that sort of 5 to 7 p.m. point. Again, the pinpoint area here really is just central England, bang, in the middle of central southern England there. And it does progress through, turn into a large area of rain before eventually moves away. Looking at the rotation in that does indicate that we could see a small area of low pressure develop within this, and that could really pep up winds perhaps in places, and the widespread nature of rain, again, perhaps not thunderstorms, but rain could be a big issue in places, torrential rain, and of course we see those reds and oranges, that is really quite heavy rain, again associated with thunderstorm activity, and eventually that does move away out into the Channel and North Sea. If we do now have a look at the Rome run, if we do start on the most unstable Cape, again, through the afternoon, because it really taking off around midday in the west and transitioning further eastwards around 4 or 5 p.m. Eventually, it does degrade away into the evening hours, for eventually around sort of 8 p.m. it does go to almost 0 in places. And again, it could pick up through tomorrow in a few isolated spots. Again, could be some few heavy thunder showers, but nowhere near as high as it is today. Again, if we have a look at the precipitation charts for this, again, we can only really look at the far southeast portion just of the British Isles, and that is because the Rome run is a French model, so it only just extends into the UK here, unfortunately. As we do progress through the afternoon, you can see around 1 or 2 p.m. we start to see those showers taking off, but it really is around 3 or 4 p.m. they become quite heavy and really quite thundery around 4, 5, 6 p.m. And you can see those orange colours there, widespread heavy thunderstorms in that eastern portion. Again, more widespread than the WRF was showing, and spreading perhaps further northwards as well, before eventually moving out. And you can see a bit more rotation once again there. Again, could be associated with a low pressure system developing. And you can see how the energy does transition from the southwest into the Midlands and sort of central England into eastern England through the afternoon. That really could pep up those storms. So what we saw on the live radar for those showers down in the southwest, that area of instability and that area of cloud and rain and thunderstorms is going to progress northwards and eastwards, and that's going to really inhibit those shower and thunderstorm activities further eastwards. And eventually, as I said, it does degrade away through the evening around midnight, which just has some light rain remaining. Now, if you do look at the UKV, again, the model we normally look at on a daily basis, so it's very good to compare. You can see at the moment, as we do head to around sort of 11 a.m, we do start to see quite a bit of thunderstorm activity through central England there. We're not seeing that in reality, so perhaps UKV is a little bit progressive or too progressive with this. Around 1 p.m, we see really widespread heavy shower risk and widespread thunderstorm risk in that, again, central, eastern and southern England region. Again, further northwards and westwards, still got a lot of showers around, but not quite so severe as further southwards and eastwards. And it really, again, does peak around that 3 to 5 p.m. point. You again see rotation as it does pull away. But it does look like the UKV here is very progressive, because around 6, 7 p.m. it's just turning to light to moderate rain and some heavier stuff, perhaps in East Anglia, that does move out into the North Sea. Whereas the other runs still had thunderstorm activity pepping up around 5 or 6 p.m. So from the looks of this, perhaps the UKV is a couple hours ahead of what we're seeing in reality. So what's showing here at 11 a.m. will actually happen around 1 or 2 p.m, probably by the time this video is put out. So interesting seeing that from the UKV. Again, this is from 3 a.m. and it just shows you and highlights the uncertainty we do have at even sort of a 6 to 12 hour lead time, especially with thunderstorms, which is so difficult to forecast. But regardless, big risk through this afternoon. Just it looks like the UKV is being a bit progressive with the timeline. If we do progress into tomorrow, though, we can see that there's more showers in the north and west, and into tomorrow we can see again quite a big area of heavy, maybe even thundery shower risk. Again, not quite as intense, not as many reds and dark reds appearing there, but quite a few yellows, again indicating quite heavy blustery showers moving in from the west. As we do head into Thursday, again, another quite widespread shower risk in places, but still could be some sunshine and some brighter weather. And finally into Friday, it'll be a much drier day. As I said over the last couple of days, it does look Friday will be a pretty decent day if you have got any plans for this working week. And then finally, as we head into Saturday, again, might be still pretty decent now with that high pressure building and that build up from the southwest of the Azores high. But, must emphasise, as we see on the long-range chart in a minute, it doesn't look likely to last all too long, with perhaps the low-pressure systems moving back in. If you do look at the max temperatures now, you can see through this afternoon it's going to really struggle in places. Best conditions for the northeast, as we saw on the live radar, around 18 or 19 degrees. Elsewhere, 13 or 14 degrees after the heavy thundery shower risk. As we do head into tomorrow, again, best areas could be through the east around sort of lunchtime hours before the showers pop off, around 17 or 18 degrees. As we head into Thursday, very similar, could see 16 or 17 in a few spots, but more around the mid to low teens in other spots. We've got thick cloud and showers. And finally into Friday, you can see, again, weather starting to pick up, but look around the east coast and down East England in general, only 9 to 11 degrees. And that's because with the high pressure building in, it's starting to build in a northeasterly flow with the air coming in off the North Sea, where sea surface temperatures are still relatively chilly, still seeing the remnants of winter time. And that does mean surface conditions do suffer in those eastern portions. Southern and western areas are best at 17 to 19 degrees, and that'll be pretty similar into Saturday, still cool along that east coast, but more widely 18 to 20 degrees under that high pressure system. So it'll be quite a fine day there on Saturday, still though a little chilly along that east coast. So if we do now have a look at the longer range, see generally what's happening over the next couple of weeks, you can see the thunderstorm activities because we got low pressure rumbling in off the Atlantic. And we'll continue to see Atlantic systems through the rest of this week giving us our shower activity. Eventually the Azores high builds in. You can see that northeasterly flow giving cooler conditions along the east coast. But the isobars do stretch out into Saturday, and that's why the east coasts are still a little bit chilly, but not quite as widely chilly. But as we head into Sunday and Monday, low pressure moves back in, and this is where we see the risk of a cut-off low developing. With northeasterly winds, it'll be cold coming in off that North Sea for eastern regions under lower pressure. With the low pressure system cut off from the jet stream, it'll just spiral around, giving heavy showers for eventually filling in, but could come back again and later in the period. So yeah, not looking good. Yes, high pressure is generally in control. The pressure will probably be towards the high end, but because of the cut-off low, it will always mean parts of England and Wales will have quite a high risk of shower activity on most days. And if we do see little lows develop on that, like this shows in around 10 days time here, with a little low coming in from Belgium and Netherlands, it would bring perhaps some more widespread rain. If you do look at the GEM now, again, low pressure running in over the next few days, eventually high pressure builds in, easterly flow or northeasterly flow initially, for generally quite a bit drier. Beyond that, we do see more low pressure rumble in off the Atlantic, and we see that cut-off low developing towards day 10. Extremely unsettled and pretty dang horrible there in the longer range. The upper air temperatures are reasonably cold as well. Again, look at the temperature deviation blues developing there, so it'll be cold and it will be unsettled. If you do finish by looking at the ECMWF for the longer range operational runs, again you can see the low pressure moving in, high pressure builds in towards this weekend. Friday, Saturday could be pretty decent, maybe into Sunday for areas further southwards and eastwards before low pressure moves in, and we see that cut-off low to form to our south and east, but not quite as widespread, and perhaps further south and eastwards towards sort of the Mediterranean and Italy, Greece sort of area, which will still have some influence on our weather, giving us an easterly flow, but it would be a lot drier. So ECMWF perhaps showing some glimpses of more of a drier pattern, with that cut-off low developing much further southwards and eastwards, or sitting much further southwards and eastwards. Have to keep an eye on that. I definitely would go more for the first two runs, the GFS and the GM, which we're having it over Europe, as that's what we've generally seen in the last few days, but ECMWF can't be discounted. Now, if you finish by looking at the ensembles, you see this will reflect over the next few weeks, generally average to below average over the next sort of 7 to 10 days, perhaps slightly above average as we head into the last 10 days of May, but so far away, quite a lot of uncertainty with that. You can see when the cut-off low does move in around 6 or 7 days' time, as it drops in off the North Atlantic. Quite a cold air mass moves in there, and a lot of precipitation developing there around the middle part of the month. So looking really quite unsettled for the foreseeable future. A few dry days, perhaps around the 13th, 14th, Friday, Saturday, maybe into Sunday for England and Wales as well. But still, there could be a shower risk even then. If we look at the 2 metre temperatures, again, could be quite warm over the next few days in places, at 17 or 18 degrees where you avoid the rain and cloud, and as that cut-off low moves in with a colder air mass, may drop that down to 14 or 15 before slowly rising into the last 10 days of the month. And if we finish by just looking at the ECMWF ensembles, you can see a similar pattern, generally average to below average over the next week to 10 days, and then trending more above average into the last 10 days of May. And you can see the operational run there on the warmer side of the ensemble trend, again, not developing that cut-off low, or not having that cut-off low sit near us as much. But quite a lot of cross-model consensus here with the overall pattern. Very unsettled next 3 or 4 days, drier 2 or 3 days, and then unsettled again and colder as that low-pressure system moves in and becomes a cut-off low. So quite a bit happening over the next few weeks. Again, must continue to say this, no signs of anything majorly warm, majorly dry, and no signs of any heat wave or anything like that. Looking fairly unsettled and fairly cool, especially in the longer term. Could be warmer over the next sort of 5 days or so in places, but whenever you see the cloud and rain, it won't be particularly nice. Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday could be the best days coming up in the foreseeable future. So if you have got any plans, do make sure to put those on Friday or Saturday, and maybe Sunday in England or Wales. But for the short term, make sure you stay safe out there with the thunderstorms through this afternoon and the evening, and the general shower risk over the next couple of days. Again, not quite as severe as today is, but still could cause some issues in places. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Do stay safe out there, and I'll see you again for another video soon.